The rapporteur is our colleague, Mr. Χρυσόγονου. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Dear colleagues, the European Union stands at a critical stage regarding the evolution of the European project. The increasing migration pressures in the Mediterranean, in combination with a declining protection of fundamental rights, are significant challenges for the European Union and for its member states. These challenges need to find cooperative solutions to effectively strengthen the basic principles and values of the EU, as well as to demonstrate solidarity and support for justice, integrity and cohesion in the EU. A well-functioning European area of freedom, security and justice is a prerequisite for fighting criminality and corruption and for ensuring, to a large extent, security and a proper implementation of fundamental rights within the EU. As a result, the level of financial resources provided for this area by the EU budget for the coming future shall be fully budgeted. The Commission shall establish a permanent and sustainable mechanism for financing migration and security actions. In this view, the increase of about 7% of commitment appropriations for Heading 3, Security and Citizenship, in 2019 is a step in the right direction, namely from 3.5 billion euros in 2018 to 3.73 billion euros in 2019. The same applies for the increase of commitment appropriations from a level of 10 billion euros in 2018 to 11.38 billion euros in 2019, as well as of payment appropriations for Heading 4, Global Europe. The proposed full use for 2019 of the unallocated margin under Heading 4, as well as the allocation of more than 1 billion euros from the global margin for commitments in order to reinforce humanitarian aid and the European Neighbourhood Instrument shall be also considered positively. Moreover, the significant increase of Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund commitment appropriations by more than 400 million euros in order to finance the new Dublin legislation, and an envelope of 175 million euros requested for Greece following the end of the Emergency Humanitarian Support Instrument on January 1, 2019, should be regarded as a positive development. It shall be noted that 1.45 billion euros are budgeted in the EU budget to finance the facility for refugees in Turkey, and that 560 million euros are budgeted for addressing the Syrian crisis. In view of the ongoing deterioration regarding fundamental rights and freedoms, rule of law and judicial independence in Turkey, EU institutions shall effectively monitor the proper allocation and implementation of the aforementioned money flows. In this respect, the reduction of the commitment appropriations for Turkey regarding the instrument for pre-accession assistance by 253 million euros compared to the initial indicative strategy paper is welcome. Moreover, the level of funding of the European Asylum Support Office, which matches its initial request to the Commission, shall be welcomed. The same applies for the significant increase by 16% of the administrative expenditure to cover the new responsibilities for the Secretariat of the European Data Protection Board, as well as its additional needs in relation with the new data protection rules in the EU institutions, and for the monitoring and ensuring compliance with the data protection rules of ex-third pillar agencies. However, it shall be mentioned that this is unfortunately not the case for the European Agency for the operational management of large-scale IT systems in the area of freedom, security and justice, the so-called EU LISA. This shall be rectified as 2019 will be an extremely challenging year for EU LISA, given the substantial increase of its tasks and budget allocated. Therefore, it is expected that EU LISA will need in 2019 an adequate reinforcement of its resources to deliver according to its new mandate. On the other hand, the establishment of a budget of 4.9 million euros for the European Public Prosecutor's Office shall be regarded as a positive step. The new EU prosecutor will be able to act quickly across borders without the need for lengthy judicial cooperation proceedings. Such intervention is needed to effectively fight illegal profits that organized criminal gangs make every year by circumventing national and European rules. This should lead to more successful prosecutions and more efficient recovery of defrauded money. It is therefore regrettable that Eurojust is the only Justice and Home Affairs agency facing budgetary and post cuts in 2019, involving a counterproductive reduction of commitment appropriations for the Justice Programme by minus 2.5 million euros. Concerns are also being aroused because the current Commission proposal for the funding of Eurojust in the next 2021-2027 multi-annual financial framework seems to be insufficient, as it corresponds to a cut of something like 15% on an annual basis compared to 2018. In this context, it shall be stressed that such a reduction is untenable given the operational growth and the political priorities in security and justice within the EU. It shouldn't be ignored that security threats have intensified and diversified in Europe over recent years. They have come in the form of increasing terrorist attacks, new types of organized crime, as well as a rise in cybercrime. Eurojust, as the EU body...
Excuse me, Mr. Χρυσόγονου, I've been told to remind you that there's a timing because we got a hearing scheduled by 15:30 and there are at least 2 members willing to contribute. So if you want to summarize, you would help us with the timing, please.
So I will go directly to my conclusion. It shall be kept in mind that the proper implementation of the budget, especially in the crucial sector of civil liberties, justice and home affairs, can decisively contribute to strengthen the unity of the European project and enhance the enforcement of fundamental principles of the EU, such as protection of human rights, solidarity, joint cooperation and democracy. Thank you for your attention.
I thank you. I thank you for summarizing and helping us. Now